Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Chiefs make surprising trade for Cowboys tight end before NFL roster cuts deadline. The Kansas City Chiefs have already surprised their fans with a couple of key imports to the active roster in the last 48 hours, and even more potential moves were expected if addressing a key position like running back or perhaps defensive tackle. But on Tuesday, the Chiefs pulled off another trade with a deal for tight end Peyton Hendershot of the Dallas Cowboys. NFL reporter Tom Pelissero broke the news that the Cowboys were sending Hendershot, a veteran tight end, to KC in exchange for a conditional late-round draft pick. The trade comes as a surprise because the Chiefs were already rolling into roster cuts with 3 tight ends ready for the active roster in Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, and Jared Wiley. The team even cut veteran Irv Smith before roster cuts were due to pare down to those 3. Adding a 4th comes as a bit of a shock, then, since that roster configuration isn't typical for the Chiefs. The trade for Hendershot isn't surprising from the Dallas Cowboys side. While he's played in 25 games for the Cowboys in the last 2 seasons, he'd been passed on the team's depth chart to the point where he was an obvious cut coming into the 2024 season. Therefore, Jerry Jones will be glad to get something in return for losing him. For the Chiefs, however, Hendershot comes to the offense as an experienced blocker who can fill the Blake Bell role with the potential for more. Cowboys expert Jerry Trotta from the Landry Hat told us, he's tough as nails as a run blocker and offers sneaky athleticism as a pass catcher. He will drop the occasional pass, but he's a serviceable TE too. Can also play on special teams. It's quite possible this also implies something of Jared Wiley's readiness for the NFL as a rookie. The team's 4th-round pick out of TCU looked good in rookie minicamp, but he disappeared as the preseason went on. Hendershot, a former undrafted free agent from Indiana, had 14 catches for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons for the Cowboys. Cowboys news: CeeDee Lamb says missing camp wasn't pleasurable at all. The Dallas Cowboys star wide receiver decided to hold out, hoping for a new deal, but he didn't sound happy to be away from his teammates. CeeDee Lamb was grinning ear to ear when he walked the halls of the Star on Tuesday, one day after agreeing to one of the biggest contracts in NFL history for a non-quarterback. But the journey to get to his 4-year extension worth $136 million wasn't all fun for Lamb, who missed the entire training camp in Oxnard. In fact, Lamb said he made numerous calls to his agent wanting to end the holdout. It wasn't pleasurable at all, Lamb said of being away from his teammates. I can count on my 2 hands how many times I told my agent I'm ready to be out there. I know he kind of got tired of hearing it. Lamb and his agent were able to negotiate long enough where the 2 sides came together on the life-changing deal, one that is still sinking in. Quite honestly, it's still surreal to me, Lamb said. A great moment. Obviously, I'm happy for myself and my family. I appreciate the Jones family. Shout out to my agent for getting it done. It was long, it was a process, but we're here now. I'm back home. I'm ready to score some more touchdowns, I know that. Lamb scored 14 last year, 12 receiving and 2 rushing, but the stats that were the most telling were the catches and yards. He set the franchise single-season marks with 135 receptions for 1,749 yards. Now, the question for Lamb is, will he be ready once the season starts September 8th in Cleveland? Could Lamb's new deal open the door to fast-tracking another one for Dak Prescott? Now, it's time for Jones and the Cowboys to turn their attention toward re-signing 2023 second-team All-Pro quarterback Dak Prescott, the 2023 NFL passing touchdowns leader with 36. Obviously you plan for Dak and you plan for CD, Cowboys COO Stephen Jones said, via Yahoo Sports, on August 13. The negotiations remain very cordial and everybody's goal is to be a Cowboy in the future and come up with solutions to the challenges of their contracts, come up with those solutions that make it to where we can have all 3, Prescott, Lamb and Micah Parsons. Of them and two we can put a good team around them. Youssef runs through a list of strong positions that's much longer than many are willing to admit before arriving at the strongest position group of the 2024 Cowboys. The fascinating thing is that you can make a case for several positions for this distinction. At quarterback, you have the MVP runner-up who is a top 10 quarterback in the regular season and had a great camp. His backup is 5-1 as a starter in the last 3 seasons when he's been called into duty. At wide receiver, with CeeDee Lamb officially back in the mix, you feel good about your top 3 guys in their respective slots. Jalen Brooks was one of the top camp performers and Ryan Flournoy had a solid camp and preseason, too. On the offensive line, Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe emerged as the starters the Cowboys hoped they would be on draft day. Both had fantastic camps and earned their jobs, even though most on the outside had already given it to them. You also have a backup center in Brock Hoffman to feel pretty good about, as well as your top interior backup in TJ Bass. Defensive back would have been the choice if Darren Bland hadn't been shelved for 6 to 8 weeks with an injury. Both set of safeties are solid and your starting trio of cornerbacks when Bland is included is top-notch. The top backups, Kalen Carson and Israel Mukuamu, had fantastic training camps. If we're being honest, the position that should get this label is the specialists. Brandon Aubrey is an elite kicker who converted a 66-yard field goal in the preseason. Brian Anger is a reliable punter and C.J. Goodwin is a strong, consistent special teams ace. But there can only be one choice, and the linebackers are a worthy selection. It was arguably the team's biggest weakness last season and it has been overhauled. Of the 5 linebackers who made the roster, 4 did not play a single snap for the team in the regular season. Eric Kendricks is the leader of the group, and he arrived by way of free agency. DeMarvion Overshown is returning from his torn ACL last preseason and if he can stay healthy looks like a true force for the defense. Marist Liufau was everywhere in camp and had a great showing in the second preseason game. Buddy Johnson was steady all camp but really made his presence known in the preseason finale. Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb addresses concerns regarding Dak Prescott contract extensions. The Dallas Cowboys made their most important move of the preseason by finally agreeing to a 4-year contract extension with first-team All-Pro wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. The former first-round pick from the 2020 NFL Draft signed a deal worth $136 million, or $34 million per season. $100 million of his contract is guaranteed. Lamb, of course, held out for the entirety of Dallas training camp and preseason as he awaited his new contract to be done. 2 other star players, quarterback Dak Prescott and linebacker Micah Parsons, are also due massive contract extensions, but decided to participate in training camp instead of holding out. Due to the massive annual salary that Lamb is now receiving, there are some concerns that the Cowboys will not be able to afford their other 2 star players, particularly Prescott. After practice on Tuesday, Lamb spoke to the media to address those concerns. That being said, he did not participate in 11-on-11 drills on his first day back at practice. After practice was over, Lamb spoke to the media for the first time since signing his massive contract extension. Naturally, the conversation led to questions about Prescott and his desire for a long-term deal. In response to these questions, Lamb said, via John Machota of The Athletic, "You look at our numbers together, they're at the top of the charts. I have no doubt that they're going to get a deal done. We all know that I want Dak here. Jerry wants Dak here too, so let's just get this under control and kill the speculation." The speculation that Lamb is referring to are the rumors that Dallas and Prescott will not be able to come to an agreement and that the quarterback will become a free agent. Since he has a no-tag clause in his current deal, the Cowboys will not be able to use the franchise tag on him should negotiations spill into next offseason. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Dak Prescott? Leave your opinion in the comments.